Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we have another special video to bring to you, and you might notice that I have another person on screen with me, and you might recognize him from a month ago when we talked about RTA Season 1 and what we thought about what might happen for Season 2. Well, Season 2 is coming to a close, and we have Season 3 fast approaching, and we kind of wanted to talk a bit about what our expectations are going to be going forward with the game mode, especially on the back of the Cerebro interview with Valley Flyin. They talked briefly about Real-Time Arena and its future, but also who we might think might be coming as the premier character for Shards for Season 3. But before we get into that, just introduce yourself a little bit again, please, Genome, for the audience so they can get to know a little bit about you and what you do.
Good evening, everyone. Genome here. I have recently started a gaming channel that focuses almost exclusively on Marvel Strike Force, and more specifically to the newer or early mid-game player, and especially on the free-to-play side. I'm a free-to-play player. I have 2 accounts going, and so I do a little bit different videos. Character retrospectives are coming up here in the future, speculation videos, and just general gameplay and advice videos. So that's kind of what's going on with my channel right now.
All right, great. And there you have it, of course. So without further ado, let's get this show started. Alright, so here we are on the Real-Time Arena screen here, Mojo's Mayhem on my BlueStacks. So let's start by talking about, what we kind of, how do you feel about Season 2? Obviously, we have Yellow Jacket here as the premier character. That was obviously done for Jubilee, who's going to be coming next patch, which actually is going to be coming on Tuesday for patch 5.1. So let's talk a little bit about Season 2. There is still, as of this video anyways, 4 days and 22 hours left in this. I need to remind myself to buy the Battle Pass, unfortunately, a necessary evil for me. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, I'll be glad not to have to look at the screen for a couple more days. That's for sure. I finished my everything up yesterday on one of my long sojourns there through autoplay. So
yeah, I am at level 100 as well. I actually did it, I think, after the 3rd week. I think if you do all the weeklies, the first 3 weeks, I think you can kind of take a rest on that 4th week, because I haven't touched any of the weekly objectives from this last week here, so I didn't need to do any of that, which is great. Obviously, though, it's a major pain in the ass, and really, I just don't think it's a lot of fun, and I'm sure not a lot of other people have a lot of fun experiences with this either, a lot of autoing, finding something else to do while you're doing this, whether you're playing it on BlueStacks or if you're playing it on your phone, you're probably not paying too much attention when you do this, because there's no real reason to have to do that. And I think that's, for me, a little bit of the disappointing part, because I actually do enjoy the, the potential of Real-Time Arena. I just don't think they've delivered that yet.
yeah, I think the mode itself is actually very flexible and can be enjoyable. I mentioned this in one of my other videos that it allows you to use some teams you don't usually get to use much, like say Sinister Six outside of War. I really enjoy actually getting Doc out there and putting him through his paces and trying him against different teams. But yeah, it's such a slog. It is so. The bad part is it just makes more sense to auto it, because if you look at return on time investment, because you go so much faster on auto, and hopefully the other guy is too. Even if you keep losing stuff, incrementally speaking, you're going to get more wins that way and more achievements done a lot just by putting on auto and leaving it there and not paying attention to it. So
yeah, and I think that's really the disappointing part about it, is that it is kind of the new Blitz 2.0 in a weird way. Now that we don't really have to pay a lot of attention to Blitz, we're kind of doing the same thing. I guess in this case, there's maybe less on the line, I suppose, by autoing RTA, because there's always going to be another match that you can just go back into, I guess, in that case, where if you do lose a Blitz, maybe for some people, that's losing extra points they could have got. But in this case, you can just spam RTA over and over and over again until you're done the objectives. And I have the objectives, on the screen that I haven't had to do for this week, but I heard that they still haven't fixed the character one. So I heard that you can still get characters that you don't have, which is really annoying. And I remember there was a lot of complaints for people who had the Doc Ock objective before the 2nd pass, and nobody had, or not enough people had them, and he was showing up there. Currently I have Shatterstar, which I do have, but and Ant-Man, which of course I do have. But other than that, I think they really need to move away from specific characters, because that's a bit unfair, I think, for some people. Now, it's not worth a lot of points, but still, it's something that people can't. clear sometimes.
Yeah, the issue is it's not really the daily one too. I don't mind that one so much as only 10 credits or whatever. It's the 50 credit one that's annoying. And I actually made a video about this one too. No plugs here intended, but it's about She-Hulk. I got She-Hulk. I've gotten her like 4 or 5 times in there. I don't have her unlocked. I don't care about the character. I keep getting her. I can't believe the algorithm was written so poorly that it can't tell what characters the player doesn't have. Unless it's another way of wanting maybe people go out and buying the character so they can do the objective. I don't know, but I mean,
I don't think,
have to gear the character.
I don't think people would go out of their way to buy a character just to complete these objectives. But yeah, I don't know why the AI or why the algorithm can't detect who you have and who you don't have now. That's one thing. I thought they were going to fix it by now. Maybe it's going to get fixed for season 3. So I just wanted to go really quick, see if my inbox still has it. But I believe there was a message regarding next patch, and I'm trying to find it if it hasn't been deleted yet. But it's an update coming soon, and it said real-time arena updates. So I have it on my screen right here. I know you can't see it, but we have the update coming soon message that we got, I don't know, a handful of days ago. And it said real-time arena updates. So I don't know what that is going to be necessarily. They did talk about the aspect of if you quit out of a match that the AI would take over. Honestly, I thought they were going to implement it for Season 2, but clearly they didn't get around because there was no real patch. I thought they could just hotfix something like that, but apparently you need like a full-on real patch to do that, so I guess that's why it hadn't happened over the holidays. But yeah, so that might be something that might be coming as that update. I really hope that they actually go ahead and remove characters that you don't have, because I think that's really unfair, considering it unlocks at, what, level 65, 66, or whatever that level is there. And so for those mid-game players or early mid-game players, they might not have a lot of these characters that they might ask you to do, so I think that's, you know, a bit lame.
Yeah, now luckily they've structured it so you can kind of work around that. Like you're not depending on those 50 credits or pieces of currency to actually finish all your objectives for the week. So that's kind of nice in a way. That's true. But it just seems like very poor programming on
so
that part,
I mean, while we're on that topic, how do you feel about the changes to the objectives? Because they did do that coming into Season 2. They changed the knockouts. I believe it was all the way up to 600, maybe. I don't remember how many knockouts. I think it was 350 and 600, 400 and something like that. I'm pretty sure it went as high as 600. But there was 3 different knockout objectives. I think they kept the 225 here because I still have that on my screen actually. But I believe it went all the way up to 600 for 3 different objectives. So now we just have the ability uses, which is up to 600. I don't know, was it always 600? I don't remember about that one or not. I don't think it was that high before. I think it was a bit lower, and so they changed that. And so I've heard a lot of feedback from my alliance and from other people I've talked to saying that they actually would have preferred the knockouts to be there rather than the ability uses, because if you're having to use subpar characters, you know, to get these ability uses, what if they die too quickly, that kind of thing. At least if you're just spamming auto for knockouts, you know, you can use what people were doing before, which was the Phoenix and 4 other characters, and that at the end of the day, you know, both of you might even go away with 5 characters, because the way Phoenix and Dark Phoenix works, once Phoenix dies, that still counts as a knockout. So yeah, how do you feel about these new objectives? Is it better or worse?
Well, just like everything else with this mode, I like part of it and I dislike the other part of it. One thing I really like is the new team one. They usually the daily 30 use the team abilities. That's great because it really incentivizes you to just put, like, say, Supernatural together or Avengers together. That's usually like a 2 or 3 battle at most clear, and that gives good points. So I think that's a good thing. As far as taking the knockout quotient and knocking it way down, I think it's both good and bad. Like, I technically prefer the knockouts, but I have some pretty strong characters. But I think this is probably a little more fair for the player with a smaller roster to make it more abilities focused. Because I see a lot less meta teams out there now than I did last season. So, because people aren't quite as worried about knockouts, they're just trying to get abilities. So,
yeah, I can definitely see that from I didn't think about that actually from a sort of earlier game perspective. You know, being able to, you know, not have to worry about knocking people back or knocking people out. I don't know why I said that. And, you know, so for them, it might be an easier way to clear these weekly objectives by doing that. And, you know, it's funny because I was actually testing the algorithm a little bit, the matchmaking algorithm, the other day with my partner's account. And I used a 10,000 power team to try and get some objectives, and I was matched up against a 200,000 power team. So there was now this was at night, you know, this was at like 10 o'clock at night Pacific time, but, you know, I would expect that there to be some other people there. So I don't know what they use in terms of their matchmaking algorithm, and I kind of wish that they were a bit more transparent about this. You know, are they basing it based on your commander's profile TCP, your total TCP, and they're matching you with other people with similar TCPs? Or are they taking your actual team power? Clearly they're not taking the team power into account, because I had a 10,000 power team matched up with a 200,000, so that doesn't seem fair.
You had a chance.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I know that's I was just kind of just testing it, you know. I wasn't actually being serious about it. I was just doing my daily too, and so it doesn't matter if I win or lose for that daily. But you know, it's crazy the fact that, you know, they still haven't really solved the matchmaking thing. And, you know, I get, you know, that you're not always going to find someone to match up with another 10,000 team, because that's probably unlikely. But I think 200,000 is a bit over the top there, and I feel like they could come out and tell us a bit how they kind of use the matchmaking algorithm, unless they're afraid of maybe us manipulating that in some way if we knew exactly how it worked. But I just think that it's still not there. Maybe some days are better than others. I don't know. You know, it feels that way, that sometimes you get people closer to your power, but then some days it's just really just out there.
Yeah, I still am a proponent of the leveling system, and basically, if you, doesn't matter what team you use, what character you use, they're all level 65 or 70, whatever, and, you know, 6, 6, 6, 6, and 4, or you can even max them if you want to. But as long as your characters aren't like matched up like that, you'll have a little more competitive mode. But I mean, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But really, my biggest gripe though with this season has just been the ridiculous amount of abilities needed to be used. It's just way too much. I think they need to cut it almost in half, if not more. It just takes forever. Even using full team's energies, it takes forever.
I remember one week I had 600 on protectors, and that took me a long time, mostly because most protectors are slow, with the exception of Yo-Yo, who I put in there as much as I could because she had her speed is really fast. So in terms of ability uses, that went a little bit quicker. But, you know, some of the, and actually I'm looking at mine now, I have usabilities Brawlers for 150 and then Brawlers 600. So I guess that's convenient if I was actually doing it. But yeah, some of these, you know, it's a bit of a slog, you know, because if you don't get a good matchmaking, and that's why I brought that up, you know, if you get some really egregious matchmaking, that, you know, it can take you a long time to get through these abilities because you just don't get a chance to use them, no matter what you use. And I started using Red Guardian a lot more because of his spawn taunt, because I do actually have him geared up a bit. He's sitting at like 60k, so he's kind of like my new Drax, that I kind of sit there in the corner and he helps me get these ability uses off. And so there are some of those characters out there that really help you do that, you know, Drax and Red Guardian specifically because of the spawn taunt, to help me get a couple of ability uses before I get wrecked. So
and some players, I mean, it just depends if they're being jerks or not. You know, if they see the freaking 25k character on your team and the rest of them are 80k, and they automatically nuke that character, I just leave. By the way, maybe that's sour grapes on my part, but you know, most of them don't tend to do that, but some of them do, and I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of people quitting. People quit all the time. And
well, that's why I'm hoping that they add in that feature as well, so at least if somebody does quit on either side, that the AI takes over and it just basically auto plays on their end, and you can play it the way that you want, I guess. But I think that a lot of people are also getting frustrated with the start of the match, because I think at the start of the match you have up to 2 minutes, I think, to make your first move, something like that.
It's ridiculous.
And so depending on how slow people are, or maybe they just forgot, or they were loading in and just like, you know, maybe they weren't looking at their phone, and they, you know, and they just let that slide. I'm actually guilty of that a couple of times, and I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot that I was actually doing something, because I'm multitasking a lot, you know, when I'm doing RTA, and I'm like, I need to hit that auto button, and I forget, you know. So I think that needs to be lowered a little bit, and then, you know, maybe to like 30 seconds might be, I think even that's probably kind of generous, and then automatically initiate auto at that point. You know, I think that if they don't, or they get kicked out and the AI takes over, something like that. So I really hope that on the season 3, they really kind of start thinking about these things. And speaking of that, so who did we guess for season 2 last time? I know I wasn't right with Yellow Jacket. I think I picked somebody else. And I don't remember who that was. I think I said Anti-Venom.
You said Anti-Venom.
Something. Yeah. I think that sounds familiar. So I want to talk about Season 3 and who we might think that's going to be. I mean, obviously, we don't really have any legendaries coming up other than Jubilee, who was why Yellow Jacket was there. So what's your guess before I reveal mine for Season 3?
had a little bit of trouble with this one because if you want to see the metrics, it was in the last video. But basically, I think it needs to be a semi-current character that still has a little hype because they want to sell the battle pass. And I think it has to be relevant either to a character that's going to be released, or it's just a premium character there's no other way to get other than the wallet. I had 3 choices here, and probably 2 of them are closest. I'll give you my runner-up. My runner-up is Longshot. I think that there's still just enough buzz behind the Dad Bros to really get his shards moving, and he wasn't around too long. So, but my first pick is actually Beast. I think the community is so ticked off about this character that they're just going to throw us a bone and give it to us, especially with the Jubilee release. I think it's going to be Beast.
So because you think it's Beast, and actually looking at Yellow Jacket, so they released Yellow Jacket on Season 2, and then they made him farmable. Do you think that they'll do the same with Beast then? Do you think that they'll release him in RTA Season 3, and then later in February, I guess, make him farmable? Or do you think he'll only be in the RTA?
I think he's going to be RTA, and I think I'm going to stick him in the raid store. I was maybe leaning towards the Blitz store, but now here they're releasing Electro over there now.
Right, so that's why I said that. So we're probably not going to get another release for at least 2 weeks, probably, or the middle of February at the very least.
So I think the raid orb, because we haven't had a raid character in quite a while put in there, and heck, I got orbs been saving up for a while, so that's my guess if I were to hazard one.
I actually was kind of along the same boats. I do think that Longshot is a possibility. I think that X Factor is a really popular set of characters. Also, Longshot was a 100 shard blitz. Baron Zemo was also a 100 shard blitz. Yellow Jacket was not, though. He was a 45 shard, but a lot of these characters are blitz characters, so that does kind of tell us something. Beast was also a blitz character, but he was just so long ago that everyone forgot about that. So the question is, do they go with Beast because of Jubilee and all that, or do they go with someone that's a little bit more current, like Longshot would be for that? So I think that's the biggest question here. And other than that, because they've skipped ahead now with Yellow Jacket, basically we're on the winter patch. We're on the 5.0 patch, kind of. And so that's why I was thinking about Longshot, because he's probably the next hardest to get character from this patch in terms of picking up those shards, and he would be probably quite popular since people probably picked up enough Shatterstar, but not enough Longshot. So, yeah, it looks like we're both on the same line here. I can't really hazard, She-Hulk. I think I said this the last time, that she's really not that popular of a character, so I really don't see that happening. So I think these are probably 2 good guesses, and I think... I don't know... I almost think the Longshot could be number 1, and Beast might be my second choice, but I think it'll be one of them. And if it's not... I honestly have 0 idea, because they're not going to do some of the more recent ones from January. I think that's way too soon. I think December is sort of likely, and unless they do Anti-Venom again, but I mean, he was an event character, so I think doing the Blitz 100 characters, those are probably really good picks, because especially mid-game players, might not even unlocked. If you didn't score 45 shards at least once, you wouldn't have unlocked, because they got rid of that weird 35 shard kind of structure that was there previously. So it's a bit harder to unlock now. If you only score 25 twice, you would have still been a couple of shards short from unlocking them. So this would be my other
rationale too on Beast was since we just got the 5 red star gimme on Red Winter, this would be a good way for them to fill them out, and maybe they could actually raid with them.
Yeah, and, that might be another topic for another conversation, but I don't understand why they gave us a 5 red star Beast in the Showtime currency event when there was this is the first time they offered that with no farmability in that character. Normally when they gave us those milestone 5 red stars, they were always farmable characters. So I remember Magneto, I think there was a Cable, the Shocker, for what it's worth. And these were all characters that we had available until now, so really confusing. The blog post has suggested that Beast would be made farmable, or what they like to say, fountainable. That was a running gag for a little while. And I just don't know what their plans are with Beast, so they really need to be a bit more transparent on these kind of things, I think, and they need to stop sort of baiting us with these blogs in the way that they suggest that these characters are going to be made farmable, and a month later after that post, I'm pretty sure he's still not anywhere closer to being farmable.
2 posts in a row they've actually talked about Beast too, and which is kind of another reason, I think.
So it looks like we have about 5 days to figure that out. I don't know if there's going to be another gap between Season 2 and Season 3 like there was between 1 and 2. I think they had like a 3 or 4 day gap between the seasons, I think, because it was a weird day that it started on, and now they have a specific date where it starts and finishes. So I don't know if there's going to be another gap or not. for this, but I guess we'll have to wait and see as well. But yeah, so any, I don't know, concluding thoughts about what you hope to see other than Beast in Season 3? Do you hope, I don't know, I mean, we didn't even talk about leagues. Let's talk about leagues really quickly. So, you know, in the, I alluded to this earlier in the intro, and, you know, there was a interview with Cerebro on Valley Flying's channel in one of his videos, and the kind of suggesting that leagues probably won't be coming anytime soon. So there is a lot of divisiveness still in RTA in the community. You know, there's a lot of people that hate it. A lot of people, I don't know about a lot of people. Some people like it. Some people dislike it, you know, and there's not consensus on this. And I think that's probably put them on the back burner in terms of new content related to real-time arenas. So I'm kind of disappointed a little bit. And this kind of goes a little bit with the Battle Pass, is that I kind of wish that they updated the Battle Pass to be done outside of RTA quick matches, and if they did that at the same time that they would release leagues, that way, you know, there's the people who don't like RTA, they can still complete the battle pass outside of it, and then the people who do want a little bit something more, you know, would have that league competition there for them. So I'm kind of disappointed myself, because I am someone in that category who does like a little bit more competition, but it, you know, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, what's your thoughts about leagues and sort of going forward with the mode?
If I was to do something in a league mode, I would do it a casual and a competitive mode. Basically, competitive mode, you're gaining for points, almost like milestone events like that. You know, the top performers who are actually getting knockouts and wins and that sort of thing could actually get some bonus stuff. And the casual side for people who want to get their abilities and weekly stuff done and not worry about wins or losses. I think that would work out pretty well. And then you can give them just the regular prizes that they normally get with RTA, so you don't have to give them anything special. But like, you know, the actual competitive teams could probably get a little bit more on top, of course, the battle pass, or maybe a new skin, something, you know.
Well, I mean, there have been some rumors, I guess, that they were kind of leading up to some sort of new store. And I guess maybe that's why characters like Beast, not that he's really an RTA type of character, but, you know, why maybe some of these characters were being held back from being farmable for so long, that maybe because they had planned a store and then now they're not sure about it, and that's why there's such a discrepancy in farmabilities for some characters. You know, maybe even something like Cull Obsidian, you know, being made available in some sort of competitive RTA store of some degree. I don't know. You know, we still have the event tabs that's sitting there next to the quick tabs I'm looking at right now. That's locked. I have no idea what the plans are for that. If anything, you know, maybe it might be the case like an Alliance War, how they have like the upgrade button for the rooms, and that's been sitting there for over a year. So, you know, I don't know. I don't know if any of these things are going to. I don't know if any of this is going to see the light of day, but I just wanted to go over it and talk about it a little bit, anyways, because you know, like I said, I think that there is I was gonna say there's promise. You know, that wasn't the right word. They could do more, but yeah, I realize that it's not the most thrilling game mode for a lot of people out there, but I hope they don't just abandon it. I feel like they should go big or go home. You know, either they shouldn't have done it at all, or you know, they should carry on doing what they were gonna do.
Yeah, like I said, I have a love-hate relationship with it. Now, a lot of people won't talk about this. I give a positive to this game mode specifically because there's very few things you can do in this game that don't require cooldowns or more currency or something like that. You can play to your heart's desire with any characters you want in that, which has some intrinsic value, you know, because the only other place you can really do that is in Rage, and you're still limited by the amount of, you know, raid energy you have. So I kind of dig that part of it, and it's fun to get to play with these new characters in a semi-non-competitive environment where you're not losing out on anything. You don't got Alliance members getting mad at you for blowing attacks, and you know, vice versa. Yeah. So there is positive aspects of it. You know, some people just want to you know be negative about it, but it needs a lot of work. It just needs so much work. I think the only reason people do this right now is just because of the rewards. I don't think they're doing it because they actually enjoy the mode. You know, and that's not the right way.
And that's really why, you know, they should really consider the battle pass elements in the wider game and not just attached to just real-time arena. And I think that's what a lot of people have the problem with, because people who don't like the competitive PvP element, they don't want to have to you know, auto this like we're doing right now, you know, to clear this. So I guess we'll soon see. You know, we'll see in weeks and months to come whether or not they address any of these issues. But that's basically all I wanted to talk about really with regards to RTA. I think we covered most of my thoughts on the matter. what they were or are. I really do hope that they, you know, plan to take this mode a little bit more seriously, but I guess we will see, you know. It seems like it's not an immediate priority, though, for the way that they've been talking about it and how divisive it is in the community. But yeah, we'll see. I would like them to move forward with the leagues, but I don't know. I don't know if that's in the cards anytime soon. So,
they move forward they move forward the leagues. They need to cut back on a lot of the other time you got to spend in here.
Yeah, that's true.
If they're going to introduce another competitive mode, they've got to cut back something.
Yeah.
Playing this 3 hours a day.
Or move the battle pass, like I said, outside of RTA if they're going to introduce the leagues. But any closing thoughts for you, or do you think we've...
Yeah, like I said, I'm generally negative on the mode for the most part, but I do want them to keep fleshing it out. It feels like almost like a beta still. I want them to keep tweaking it because, once again, I do think we need a mode that we can just play anytime we want to and not worry about cooldowns and just have freedom to use whatever teams you want and characters you want. It's just it needs some tweaking. It's way too much of a time sink. You can't just take away all that blitz time with it for quality of life and give us blitz sims and then make us do this even more than we used to blitz. So
yeah,
I don't know. Knock down the time sink and tweak a few things with matchmaking and work on the prize allocation, and I think you'd have a great mode here.
Well, I guess we'll see. I mean, we have 5 days until Season 3. You know, hopefully they might, in the near future, come out with what they're planning at all, if they're planning anything with regards to the future of the game mode. But I want to thank Genome for coming out onto the channel today and talking with me about RTA. And, of course, there will be a link in the description below to his channel. So please check him out. That would mean a lot from me, and see if there are any videos that might interest you guys. And maybe we'll see you soon on whatever next video, or maybe some future RTA rant, depending on what they do with this beast. No pun intended. We'll see if there's a beast coming to it or not. So until next time, guys, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boylon and Genome signing out.
Take care.